What does a genius really look like? We've been fed a shallow myth. The fast talker, the human calculator, the one who always has a witty remark ready the second they're spoken to. Society tells us that intelligence is about speed, about being louder, sharper, and more productive than the person sitting next to you. But if you're reading this, you likely already suspect that this story is just a comfortable lie. The truth is far quieter. High-level intelligence rarely looks like a display of fireworks. It isn't about how fast you react or how easily you handle the mundane. True intelligence is not a data warehouse or a high-speed processor. It's a chaotic, often turbulent way of processing the world. It's a weight you carry in the quiet moments. If you've ever felt like you're on a completely different frequency than everyone else, like you're too much in a world that asks you to dim your lights, you aren't broken. You're just operating at a different level. At Raw Human Psychology, let's look at 5 raw, lonely, and often misunderstood habits of an exceptional mind. These aren't character flaws. They are the fingerprints of a mind trying to find its place in a world that isn't built for its complexity. 1. Externalized thinking. Do you find yourself talking through your tasks, explaining problems to an empty room, or thinking out loud just to make sense of the noise in your head? Most people call this talking to yourself. But when your brain runs dozens of background threads at once, your internal monologue creates a mental gridlock. Speaking out loud isn't a sign of instability. It's a form of cognitive offloading. By voicing your thoughts, you use your auditory channel as a buffer, clearing out your working memory. It's the Feynman technique in its most primal, raw form, forcing a chaotic internal storm into a linear, logical path. You aren't crazy. You're just clearing your desktop. 2. Intellectual humility. There is a cruel paradox in intelligence: the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less someone understands, the more confident they seem, while those with deep insight tend to live in a state of chronic, quiet doubt. This isn't low self-esteem, it's intellectual humility. Because you can actually see how vast the unknown is, you're naturally terrified of making arrogant, absolute claims. You might feel like an imposter, not because you're a fraud, but because your brain processes information so fast that you mistakenly assume everyone else has reached the same conclusion. You aren't lacking in ability. You're just the only person in the room honest enough to admit how much there is left to learn. If this resonates with you, if you feel this constant internal tug of war, please support this channel. A like, a comment about your own experience, or a subscription helps us reach those who are still waiting to feel understood. 3. Sensory gating deficits. Many highly intelligent people struggle with what neuroscientists call leaky sensory gating. While most brains are built to ignore background noise to save energy, your brain, like an 8K camera in a 1080p world, captures everything. The rhythm of a pen tapping, the hum of a light, or the subtle hostile shift in a room isn't just an annoyance. It's a biological tax. You aren't dramatic. Your nervous system is just hyper-attuned. You're picking up patterns and vibrations that others are literally blind to. That sensory overload is the unavoidable cost of high-resolution awareness. 4. Strategic incubation. Procrastination is usually branded as the enemy of work, but for a high-functioning mind, it's strategic incubation. When you're staring at a wall or scrolling aimlessly, your brain isn't idle, it's running a massive subconscious simulation. You aren't lazy, you're holding back. Your cognitive architecture requires a solution to be 90% complete before you allow yourself to move. You aren't stalling. You're waiting for the pieces to snap into place. You're holding out for the breakthrough, while others are settling for the good enough. That gap in quality is where your edge lies. 5. Need for cognition. Finally, there is the need for cognition, an engine that never turns off. This can be exhausting. Like Einstein, you don't think you're special. You're just passionately curious. You engage in cross-domain thinking, effortlessly weaving connections between philosophy, math, and the raw biology of human behavior. Your brain has a high dopamine threshold, meaning you get bored with the predictable, but you light up when you solve a new mystery. It's not a lack of focus, it's a fundamental refusal to stop exploring. In the end, intelligence isn't a trophy. It's a responsibility. It's the experience of running a supercomputer on the limited, fragile energy of a human body, all while trying to navigate a world that loves noise and hates complexity. If you recognized yourself in these habits, stop apologizing for them. You aren't difficult. You're just a person with a high-resolution mind, still learning to handle the frequency you're broadcasting on. If you've stayed with me this far, you have the depth that most people skip over. Which of these 5 habits made you feel the most seen? Share your story in the comments. I really do read them. Don't forget to subscribe to Raw Human Psychology for more deep dives into the architecture of the human mind. See you next time.